Yeah, first want to just congratulate our men's basketball team, Coach Conzo Martin, on being selected as National Coach of the Week. They're 3-0 and riding that mo and really excited about what he's doing and excited about our basketball team. I know our women's team's on a pause right now and look forward to what Coach Penston's going to do this season with her team too. But it's always awesome when the basketball team is playing at a high level and playing well. And can't wait for Saturday. Got a big game versus bragging rights, and we know that what that means to our state. As far as Saturday, boy, that was a great win. Really proud of our toughness, our togetherness as a team, our resolve to never give in no matter what the circumstances were. It's always good to have that trophy. I think somebody said it's been here for about 1,500 days, so we're glad for it to stay in here another 360, whatever that'll be. But, today is about moving on, and we've got a tremendous challenge ahead of us. Obviously, a top 10 team in the country coming into Faurot Field. They're playing some really good football right now. Coach Smart obviously does a tremendous job. On the offensive side of the ball, Coach Monken, their new offensive coordinator, has really added some explosiveness to it. They've settled in on their quarterback. He's added, a really good element in the throw game. Their offensive line is really big and physical. Coach Pittman did a great job recruiting those guys, and Coach Luke is now taken over and has really given those guys an attitude in the trenches. And then their wide receiver room. I mean, obviously George Pickens was one of the better wide receivers in the country last year as a true freshman, and he's playing well as a sophomore right now. And like I said, they've settled on their quarterback, and so we've got our hands full against a really good offense. And obviously, we didn't play the way we wanted to defensively, and so that's going to be a tremendous challenge. Defensively, Dan Lanning, their defensive coordinator, I think he does an outstanding job. I believe he went to William Jewell College in Kansas City, and I believe he's from the state. And so, it's going to be mean a lot for him to come back here and put together a good performance. They are a clone of the Alabama defense, and so we've had problems, with Alabama, and we had problems with Tennessee and South Carolina, and Georgia's got the same defensive philosophy as those guys, and I'm sure they're going to copy a lot of those things that gave us problems. And so, we're going to have to find some answers there. Those are the three games offensively that we really didn't play that well in. And so, going to have to handle, them copying that scheme and being a clone of that scheme. Special teams, they got a great returner. Obviously, they got a lot of depth, and so they play a lot of different people on special teams. We're down to, as of this morning, 59 scholarship players. And so, that's an area that really affects us during the game. So we've got to be fundamentally sound and make sure that we have our ducks in a row there. Be our toughest challenge yet, just because of all the different issues. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
First one's going to come from Ben Arnett from KOMU. Ben.
Coach, Connor mentioned after the Arkansas game a message that's in the quarterback room about not needing to be a celebrity quarterback, but being a battlefield leader. And I'm curious how you feel like he has embraced that role and if it kind of fits his personality naturally.
Yeah. We have our quarterback commandments, and yeah, that's absolutely one. We don't need celebrity quarterbacks. We need battlefield commanders that when the game's on the line, they're calm, cold, collected, and people will follow them. And that's exactly what he does. He doesn't get too high, too low. He's got a quiet confidence about him. And he's in control out there. He knows what he's supposed to do. And when he messes up, he owns it and goes back out there and corrects it.
Next one's going to come from Dave Matter from the St. Louis Post. Dave.
Hey, Eli, I think it was a year ago today when Jim and some of the curators were kind of sealing the deal with you in North Carolina. I know you've got a lot on your plate to reflect right now, but just as far as the vision for the program you had and they had, how do you see the progress coming there? I know the indoor facility is a big deal. Where do you see all of that kind of lining up 1 year later?
Yeah, I guess I knew that it was kind of in December, but I didn't know we were at that year time. Boy, it's been a year now. I mean, it's been a wild ride, and it's actually for me been a wild 2 years, just to be honest. I haven't had really much time to take a breath and relax on any of it. But I think for me, one of the main things for this year was to lay a foundation, to really instill who we want to be moving forward and make sure everybody, whether it was the administration, the players, the organization, knew how we were going to operate on a day-to-day basis and how we were going to play the game and the expectation of performance. And I think we're starting to see that. I think the administration knows how hard I'm going to push on and off the field for us to be at a championship standard in everything we do. There's a Bill Walsh quote that talks about champions behave like champions long before they're champions. They have a winning standard of performance before they are crowned winners. And that's really what we're trying to push. And so for this indoor facility to get kicked off and at least have permission to look into it. And now we've got to fundraise, and now we're going to need the state to, the boosters to match our energy and step forward and help us find ways to raise that money. I think the play on the field is speaking for itself. We're never out of the fight. We have great fight. We're not always perfect, but we play with a lot of energy and a lot of effort. And the results, I think, are far better than what most would have predicted, including most of the people on this call. And recruiting, I think, is speaking for itself. I think we're slowly but surely locking down the state. Making sure that the best players in this state play for their state school, proving that they can win here, proving that they can be noticed and recognized here, and proving that they can be developed here. And so, that to me is the foundation of what I said in our first press conference of what we had to do. And we're doing it. We're not there yet. We got a long way to go, and I'm not satisfied, but we are started.
Mitchell Forty from Power Mizzou. Mitch.
Eli, you mentioned Georgia doing a little bit more with their passing game. Obviously, the foundation of that offense has been the running game for a while. I'm curious, what do they do that's so successful in that area, and just how important is it to stop Georgia on the ground to have a chance against them anytime you're lining up against them?
Yeah, Coach Monken spent the previous 4 or 5 years maybe in the NFL, and you can see a lot of that flavor as far as motions, play actions, divider reads by the X and Z receiver. And so, I think they do a great job of stretching the field vertically, taking free access. JT Daniels obviously has pretty good command of when they go in motion. Does it soften the coverage? Does it allow him to create a one-on-one? Does he need to hand the ball off? Does he need to check to something quick? And so it's dynamic for sure. Obviously, if you can stop the run and put them in a situation to pass, we have the ability to better disguise what we're trying to do on defense. So that's the cat and mouse game. But I think the reason why it's been so successful, I think, is no doubt because of Coach Monken and his NFL influence.
Peter Baugh from The Athletic. Peter.
Yeah, Eli, I noticed, I guess, guys like Will Norris and Jay Macklin and Chance Luper getting a little more time. What do you have to see from a first-year player for you to, I guess, think that they're ready to play on game days?
Availability. I mean, the reality of it is right now, availability is the most important ability. We got 59 scholarship players, so, and you can only, play 80 on an SEC home game. I don't even know if we had 80 total available guys for the game. So availability, those guys have worked hard and they're available. So they're getting their opportunity.
Gabe DeArmond from Power Mizzou. Gabe.
Yeah, what have you seen a little more out of Daniel since he took over? And is this offense with him a different challenge than it would have been when you were supposed to play them, whatever it was 4 or 5 weeks ago?
I'm not sure that I remember the first question, but is it a different challenge? Yeah, it's a different challenge because anytime you have a new quarterback who's got game experience underneath him, then there's going to be a challenge to figuring out how to stop him. One of the benefits of film is that you get to see other people try things and figure out, okay, that gives them problem. That doesn't give them problems. This fits into our scheme. And there's just not a lot of tape on JT. We know he's a tremendous talented quarterback. So we'll have to hunt and peck and make in-game adjustments until we figure it out.
Eric Blum from the Tribune. Eric.
Eli, what has Trey Williams meant to your team? And just to have somebody who's a senior from Columbia, how does that help or, just relate in the community at all?
I'm really proud of Trey. I love Trey Williams. I love the fact that he was on our team, and what he's meant to us, and I'll leave it at that.
We'll go with Max Baker from the Missourian. Max.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned sort of how you have to lay that foundation for years to come, but how, in a conference where division where the same two teams the last, I think 5 or 6 years, it's been Florida and Georgia. How do you break through and become one of the, become a, contender for, the next 6 years over, them two when they seem to have the division sort of the last 5 years?
Past is the past. The future's ours to take. I mean, we know what the foundation is. We have an opportunity in front of us to play Georgia this week, to measure ourselves, to see where we're at in comparison to them, and then make adjustments. We got a chance to see where we're at versus Florida. We know where we have to improve in order to have an opportunity to compete with that team. And now we have an opportunity to compete with Georgia. The past is past. It has nothing to do with your future if you learn from it. And so I'm not surrendering anything to anybody. If I was doing that, I wouldn't have taken this job.
Colin O'Brien, go ahead.
Eli, I'm not sure exactly what to call the play, but that kind of jet sweep you've ran a couple times with Elijah Young. As a play caller, how do you go about determining when the time is right to hit the counter on that, like you did with the handoff to Larry Roundtree on Saturday?
I think it's just the years of experience of calling plays and just kind of knowing in your knower when it's time to make that call. And it felt like we had set it up for a while, but you want to make sure it's in the right moment, the right opportunity when maybe defenses aren't quite as aware or whatever. And it was the right call at the right time. I think it just comes with experience of calling plays, though.
Andy Humphrey from KTGR. Andy.
Yeah, Eli, obviously Beatty's had a big impact on the last couple of games. You talked in the past about getting more touches. Now that he's kind of, getting some more of those, has he shown you anything different that you maybe weren't expecting, or was that exactly what you wanted to see out of him, really?
I mean, I think Tyler's been very explosive the whole time, and we saw that in the Alabama game on that wheel route for a touchdown. I think it's just we've been in the games more so we can be more diversified on offense. And when we're not in those games, we kind of have to put ourselves in a position where we're not able to either hand the ball to Larry or get those plays to Tyler. The thing I'm the most proud of Tyler is just his mental toughness and team attitude about the whole situation. He understands that Larry's our every down back, but he has a role, and it's a significant role in this team. And, now I think he has the longest run on the season, and he's pretty close to having the longest catch on the season too. So extremely proud of him for the way he's really given us an extra boost offensively these last 3 to 4 games.
Soichi, go ahead.
Hey, Eli, I'm just wondering, you got Daniel Parker back last game. I guess when he's such a willing blocker, do you kind of see that maybe, permeate a little bit to the rest of the team and just kind of try to knock guys down?
Yeah, I think he set the tone on that jet sweep where he knocked down 3 different dudes on that play and got our sideline fired up. And he's a really talented player that we're always trying or excited when he's in the game, and he does everything that we ask him to do. So we're very appreciative of what he means to our football team.
Jack Sobel, the Maneater. Jack.
Yeah, I also got a Beatty question. So you said Larry's the lead back, for obvious reasons, but with Beatty running that outside zone for 2 big scores against Arkansas, has there been any thought to giving him even more of those carries going forward?
I think we're probably at the right usage numbers. I think there's an effect of handing the ball to Larry a certain amount of times because of his size and the way he runs. But we've been, even the touchdown that we scored against LSU was an outside zone scheme, single back outside zone scheme to Tyler, which seems to be his favorite call, in the run game, just because of his vision. So I don't necessarily think there needs to be more or less. 685 yards, I think we'll just take that again.
Next one's going to come from Seren Petro.
Coach, kind of a follow-up to what Dave Matter asked earlier about being the 1-year anniversary and the program building. I think you mentioned about the indoor facility boosters in the state, right? Obviously, it's kind of a group effort, a statewide effort with everything you need to do. You're knocking on the door of being in the top 25 as well. How it's always chicken or egg, right? Like win and we'll get you the facilities. We'll give you the facilities and we'll win. How do you see that symbiotic relationship working, and how do you make it as strong as possible so it's a benefit for both sides?
I've always believed that minimum input equals minimum output. Maximum input always equals maximum output. And so I think you have to put in and you'll get out. I also believe that champions behave like champions long before they're champions. I believe there's a winning standard of performance. And you have to have that kind of expectations. I mean, we can sit here and have motivational quotes all day. You live up or down to the expectations that you set for yourself. I've been adamant about since the day I stepped foot on this job that our goal is to win the SEC East in a bowl game with class integrity and academic excellence, and I'm not going to come off of it. In order to do that, we need the facilities that match the rest of the SEC. We need to recruit at a high level that matches the rest of the SEC. We need to recruit our state better than anybody else. And so we don't let Big 10 teams or Big 12 teams or Pac whatever teams come into our state. We have to secure those borders, and we're in the process of doing that. Or have we finalized that yet? Nope. But we're doing our part, and now we need everybody else to believe and buy into the vision. And that's what I said we would try to do, which is extend an invitation to anybody and everybody who wants to be a part of what Mizzou is and ask them to join with us. And I firmly believe that if we all push in the same direction as the only Division I school in the state that has 2 large metropolitan areas, that has a great recruiting base, we can do what no one expects out of us to do in this league. But they're not going to make room for us. Nobody else in the SEC wants to see us do that, because then that crowds their table. We're going to have to do it ourselves, and I need everybody to join in that mission. And I think our administration's believing in that message. I know our team is, and I know recruits are. So now we need, everybody else, and that's going to require an investment. And like I said, minimum input equals minimum output. Maximum input equals maximum output. So that's my spill.
We'll go Bill Pollock, then Gabe, then Dave. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, thank you. Eli, I don't want to get you in trouble with SEC officials, and I know you commented on Nick Bolton's play after the game, but there's a lot of fans across the SEC who don't understand the targeting call. And I was a little befuddled with the call myself, too, because I saw replays, and my eyes could be wrong. It did not look like there was any head-to-head contact. But can you clarify the rule more for fans, just to kind of settle everyone down? Because I don't think a lot of fans understand the rule.
I mean, by definition of the rule, it's you have to have an indicator, which is launching to the head or neck area. And I was a little bit confused, honestly, too, when I saw the replay, because usually the indicator is the crown of the helmet being lowered, which Nick never did. And I believe that Nick did all that he could do. I don't know that Nick could have done anything else in that situation. And I think he made the best play that he possibly could, which was separate the man from the ball. He's a big dude, and that was a little dude coming across the middle. And I mean, that's what happens when big dude hits little dude with velocity. But by definition, the upward thrust of his momentum into the head or neck area of the defender is what indicated and confirmed the target for them. These are bang plays that get reviewed and have to be made tough decisions. I've sat in rooms where they show targeting and you have to say whether it was or wasn't. And, there's groups of 15 coaches and administrators in there, and it's split 50-50. And so I don't know that there's a great answer for that, but I do understand why they upheld it. Did I agree? Well, I don't want to get fined, but it is what it is. But I do understand why they said it. And I had a conversation with the SEC office and the officials about it, and they said their piece. And I'm the type of person that, hey, if you tell me why and that's your reasoning, they're in the position of authority for a reason. Okay, and we move on. And I thought the guy who did a tremendous job of controlling the controllables was Nick Bolton. His energy in the fourth quarter and his enthusiasm was what our team needed. And he provided what was needed at that time, which was leadership. And man, I can't say enough good things about Nick Bolton all the time.
Eli, it's always possible I'm reading too much into something here, and it wouldn't be the first time, but when you spoke about Trey Williams, you said you were happy he was on your team. Is he no longer on your team?
Yeah, Trey came in and had a conversation about the future about his future with Mizzou football, and as of right now, he's exploring opportunities outside of Mizzou football, and he's earned that right. I love Trey. I love everything about him, the way he plays, and so we wish him the absolute best in whatever he decides to do with his future.
At that same position, Trajan Jeffcoat is leading your team in sacks, and it seems every game he's in the backfield at some point. When he came back after a year off, could you possibly have expected what he's given you?
No, I really didn't have any idea what to expect, but I think that just shows the character of the young man, that he stayed in shape, he worked, and was ready for his moment and his opportunity. And obviously, he's taken every rep in practice and tried to maximize that rep and become a better player, and he's done that. Boy, we're sure thankful that he's here.
Eli,
Andrew Kaufman. Oh, sorry, Dave. Dave, it's your turn.
Dave Hazelton, just kind of what's he kind of gone through this year to, and you know what's it say about him that here he is at the end of the year making really important plays for you?
You know, we had a card that we passed out. I don't know about. You know, what if you viewed every challenge as an opportunity to practice your faith and mental toughness, and it wouldn't be about the outcome, it'd be about the person that you're becoming. And, you know, after a game where he didn't get to play very much, he sent that to me really early in the morning. And, you know, I know it's been a struggle. You know, it hasn't gone exactly the way he wanted it to, with the hamstring injuries and the different thing that he's had to battle behind the scenes that not everybody knows about. But he stayed the course. He's been ready. He stayed ready. And when Toski got a little bit dinged up in the game, boy, he was ready. And he was a matchup nightmare for them, and could not be stopped. And the fact that him and Connor had that connection in the game was the difference in the game. And that's why he was named, you know, our outstanding offensive player of the game.
Andrew Kaufman.
Coach, if you win this game, you'll take over second place in the SEC East. It also gets you 6 wins, and that could be a big difference in bowl games if bowl games end up happening. Just how much are you using that as motivation for you guys this week?
No, I mean, we're focused on being 1-0 and the opportunity to play a top 10 opponent. There's really nothing more into that than that. I mean, unless you know something I don't, I fully expect bowl games to happen and play and participate, and we're excited about that. But our focus right now is playing a top 10 team at home and the opportunity to compete against, you know, some of the best players in the country and one of the best head coaches in the country.
Peter?
Yeah, Eli, could we get an injury update on like Kobe Whiteside and Toski Dove and Sean Robinson and kind of some of the guys who missed or got banged up last game?
Kobe Whiteside will be questionable for the game. He should be out there today in a green jersey, and we'll see how that goes. Toski Dove will be questionable for the game. I believe he had a shoulder issue, but he'll be in a green jersey, non-contact today. Sean Robinson will be a full go today, ready to rock and roll.
Mitchell?
Eli, I just had one other roster thing to clarify. I know you said the team was at 59 scholarships as of this morning. You mentioned Trey. Is there anyone else unavailable for whatever reason that you can share right now?
Yeah, we had a contact trace that has taken, I think, 2 players. And then we had Jarvis Ware had a pretty significant injury in the game, and he wasn't able to return. That will put him out for at least this week, and we'll get a second opinion on and figure out moving forward. I think that's it. I don't have that number sheet in front of me, but I know the number is 59.
Jack Sobel?
Coach, you mentioned after the game that you still couldn't stop the Arkansas speed draw. I'm wondering if after you watched the tape, did you see kind of why that play was so successful, and then what can your defensive front do to improve against a good Georgia running game?
Yeah, it all works together. You know, both the front and the linebackers. There was one time where the linebacker chased it too far to the front side and left the backside A gap open. There was another time where our 4-eye and our defensive end got too far up the field, which created too much space, and we weren't able to get to really what would have become the front side A gap because we had overplayed it. So a lot of issues there that just got to get fixed, but mainly it's discipline and making sure that we understand exactly how we're supposed to fit and play together. And sometimes on defense, doing your job and eating up 2 blocks is going to allow another person to make the tackle. And so it's not about you trying to necessarily make the tackle and leave your gap. You got to trust your wingman, and we got to do that a little bit more.
Eric Blum, go ahead.
Eli, I'm not sure how many offensive snaps you've had this year without Mike Maietti snapping the ball. I mean, just what has he that consistently meant to your team this entire year?
Man, I love Michael Maietti. Just an unbelievable young man who wanted an opportunity to win football games and try something different. He'd never been to the Midwest before. And that's the beautiful thing about the graduate transfer process is it gives a young man a chance to do something. And the leadership and toughness and just the consistency of performance that he's provided has been unbelievable. I'm begging that guy every single day, and now I'm doing it publicly for him to come back. He just means I love the young man as a person and as a player, and just can't thank him enough for what he's meant to us. And boy, if y'all want to get a kick, man, just watch him celebrate a touchdown. I mean, that right hook is unbelievable. It's something vicious. So really love Michael, and sure excited that he's here and going to enjoy the crud out of these next 3 opportunities with him, and hope like crazy he'll come back for one more year.
Gabe?
That's at least 2 or 3 guys you are lobbying to come back next year. With signing day next week, how much does the uncertainty of those guys impact what you guys are able to do, in the next week, and maybe not knowing exactly what numbers look like or what the NCAA is doing scholarship-wise?
Well, with what the NCAA has decided for this future class or this class is that any senior who decides to come back won't count towards your 85, your hard limit 85, or towards your 25 scholarships. So, these guys coming back are a free opportunity for them to improve their, opportunity to go to the NFL by getting another year of development, or just allowing them to have another season of college football, which, I had a visit with one young man today, and he said, "Coach, I would regret it the rest of my life if I didn't stay and play college football." And he absolutely gets it, because these are the best days of their lives, and they're hard days at times. And this has been a hard year, but when you win at Faroe, that's a pretty special feeling. So I'm glad some of these guys are going to come back, and we're excited about it for sure. But it's not going to affect anything we do differently on signing day.
Dave?
Eli, on that note, Kobe didn't walk on Saturday. Is that indication he is one of those guys coming back?
I'll let Kobe make his announcements whenever he wants to make his announcement.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
And last one's going to come from Seren Petro.
Coach, just you mentioned the talent and fencing in Missouri and everything. You've had a year to see it. I know it's an awkward year, right? Not a normal year, but what have you thought? Better than you thought in the state of Missouri? Worse? What's your overall opinion now after a year of seeing the talent that's available?
Tremendous talent, tremendously talented state, tremendously talented players all over the country from St. Louis or from Missouri that we have to make sure they stay here. And that's the charge of our recruiting staff and the charge of our coaching staff, that don't go recruit elsewhere until you've recruited Missouri. And we started that with the 21 class. The 22 class, in my opinion, is as talented as a group of young men in a single state that I've been in, and I've not been in a ton of different states, but it's really good. It's really good, and we've got to do a great job of building relationships and connections, not just with the kids, but with the high school coaches, and we got to get that indoor built so that we can have camps and get those guys here so they can see it, and so that they can understand that this is a serious commitment to excellence that we're trying to push, and you don't have to go anywhere else to be nationally recognized or to win championships. You can do it right here in your home state where everybody can see it, and the whole entire state can be proud of you.
All right, we'll end the press conference with that. Thanks, Coach.
MIZ.